I probably watched 15 full games this weekend, right? And 6 of them had weird things happen during those games, whether it was the fouls against Kasparas Yakashonis, whether it was the flagrants and the reviews in the Michigan and Northwestern game, whether it was the end of the Providence Villanova game, which if you watch that was an abject disaster and a disaster class of officiating from that crew. The reviews at the end of the Ole Miss Mississippi State game were out of control, man. It was like 20 minutes of reviews in overtime, which is completely unnecessary. It was the foul that wasn't called on Hassan Diarra when he didn't get the 3 free throws. If you saw the end of the GW George Mason game, GW got like tackled twice at the end of, I think it was the end of overtime, and nothing was called. There were 3 different fouls that could have been called at the end of the game. There has to be something done to solve us from the crisis of officiating. And I'm not just talking about like guys missing a call here or missing a call there, right? It's the process. Anytime in the last 2 minutes, if a coach goes like this, you're obligated to go and review it, right? Even if you know you got the call right, even if you know that there's going to be like 0.1 second out of there, sitting there going like this, let's go check it. Let's go check it. We need reviews or something, Sweeney. I don't know how to fix it, but we need something. Because this is it's annoying how often we have to have a conversation about bad officiating at the end of a game.
On the monitor question, I'm 100% with you, and I think I understand it would be frustrating if all of a sudden there was a call that couldn't be reviewed, went to the monitor too many times, right? I know there'd be you probably have limits like you would have in the NBA. But you can basically verbally challenge anything, and you get an unlimited count of times you just get to wave your finger in the air. Like that to me is crazy. Bigger picture though, like I just think there needs to be more accountability with the refs. Like if you are going to have a bad performance as a ref, like there needs to be some sort of either public discussion over it, like a last 2-minute report in the NBA, or a public reprimand. Like you screwed this up. Like the way that this game was, like the way that was officiated in the UConn game was crazy. Like that call, like I tweeted this. If we're going to allow you to foul whenever you want in a late game situation and not call it a 3-shot foul because you were trying to foul, we might as well treat it like an intentional walk in baseball and not play the possession. Like a coach should be able to walk out in the middle of the floor and say, hey, we're going to foul here. Let's not play it. Let's send it to the free throw line. Like that's ridiculous. And it could have cost UConn a game. Western a game early in the year, and there's been 2 or 3 other examples where it has straight up changed the result of a game. And there's no accountability that I'm aware of. If there's accountability, it's not public, right? And there's accountability for everyone else in college basketball, right? We get on a show every night, and we talk about not just people who are doing well, but the coaches who screwed up, the players who screwed up. We very rarely name the refs that screwed up, right? And I understand they have a tough job, but man, it is frustrating when you see a game handled that poorly, or the as you said, the Villanova Providence game. That was a disaster class. And today, one of the best players in the country got completely taken out of a huge top 15 showdown on CBS, national television, huge game that will decide a conference race. And it's just like, oh, well, shrug your shoulders. They screwed up twice. Like that can't happen, man.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
I understand it. I sympathize with coaches though in that aspect. Like you got to get it right. The one thing, whether we were talking before off air, whether it's about putting a limit on the challenges or whatever, but whatever it takes that we got to get it right. Because what you don't want to do is lose a game and we're debating on whether you can challenge it or you can't. You know, they got to get it right. I often said a couple of times, why don't we have a third official there at the table? Because a lot of times when you can be calling the game and we'll see it right away. It'll come on our monitor. We'll see it. Like literally, if it was another official sitting there, they could just go, hey, ref comes over, hey, showing you now on our monitor, ball's off, Rob Dolster, goes the other way, or whatever you say. If that would happen, I know that would be probably pricier, but you need it anyway in case an official getting a cramp. There's no different else. Just have a fourth official sitting at the counter and just with his monitor, having a game, watching no different than we do. And I think that helps speed it up at least, as opposed to just going to the monitor, gathering, having meetings, doing all those things. If you had a fourth official or a third, depending on however many you have available or whatever at the game, I think if you had that extra official at the game would help speed that process up. The missed calls are the missed calls. They're just going to be there. And I don't know, again, maybe if they will huddle, I can help erase that, quicken it up. I don't know as an official.
RC, the one that gets me is in the entire history of the sport of basketball, right? Starting from when you were playing pickup, from when you were playing at the park, from when you were playing captain's practices at school, from when you were playing before we had review, right? If someone knocks the ball, it comes down, comes across your arms, right? Might have fouled you, not close enough to be a foul, knocks it out of your hands, and it goes out of bounds, and maybe it comes off your finger last, right? That ball is always going to the team who had possession where it was knocked out of their hands, right? Well, now you go back to the monitor, you review it, you see this dude get raked across the arms. The guy doesn't even make contact with the ball, knocks it out of his hand. It's last off the dude that knocked it out, and you have to give it back to the ball to the team that committed the foul to knock the ball out of bounds because the ref missed that call, and then he missed the other one knocking it out of bounds, and now you got to overturn the call. Like when you get to this point where we can go to the finest margin to see exactly what happened down to the splittest of the frames, to be able to, you got to be able to have some kind of feel when you are reffing a game, and you can't legislate that in the rules that you put together. And it just, stuff like that really just frustrates me. I do want to ask you something, Randolph. We saw a situation on the bench for Illinois today where Orlando Antigua got teed up in a big moment, right? If you're a head coach and your assistant gets teed up with like 6 minutes left in the game, you're down by 4, you're on the road in a game where you got a chance to win. How does that go? If you're the head coach, how does that go?
We got to go in the locker room and just lock up for a few minutes. I got to get that off my chest, and then we're going to go out and have a drink afterwards. But we got to go wrestle. We got to go tired. We got to go get this off. I got to get some punches off or something. You get in a game like that, it's funny that it comes down to that. And I was impressed with the way they handled it, because I heard him come out of the timeout and say something like, you got to shut the hell up or something like that. But it would have been a hell of a lot more than that. All seriousness, man, we'd have had a problem. Like I would have said something so bad to you, you would have had to swing on me. That's why I know we would have had to fight. And then we